Good morning. Happy Saturday. I'm going to give you a moment to grab your coffees and we will connect with the Virtual Coffee Club. And for some reason this morning, I've got, when you wake up with a song in your head and you wonder where it came from? Like, were you dreaming and that song was there? Is there a message in that song? Hi, Cheryl. Is there, where is when you get a song in your head? Do you ever wonder where it comes from? That's my first initial thought of the morning. As you grab your coffees, sadly, I have a sad state of affairs in my house. I am still out of coffee and I have yet to buy some. I don't know what is wrong with me, but I'm jonesing for a coffee. Anyway, so my first thought before I dive into our topic today is when you get a song in your head, where does it come from? Is it just because it's a catchy song? Is there a meaning that you're supposed to get from it? Is there a reason? Is it just coincidence? You know what I mean? And so today, for whatever reason, as I was getting ready to jump on live with you, and I'm typing on the computer to get ready to go on the platforms, and I'm singing Islands in the Stream from Kenny and Dolly. And that's the song that's playing over and over and over in my head today. And I have no idea why. I've not heard it recently. It's a great song. So I'm like, is there a meaning in the song, a message that I'm supposed to receive today? Because I'm so open to being like, well, could be anything. So now I'm curious to look up the lyrics because I was trying to think as I was waiting for you to jump on coffee with me. It was, okay, how does the song go again? Islands in the Stream. It's a song about togetherness, right? So maybe that's the point of it today. I don't know. I feel like it would probably not be wise for me to try to deep dive all the things that go through my mind. Scary. Scary, scary, scary. Well, say good morning as you join the coffee this morning. Welcome to our Virtual Coffee Club, a place where we can connect daily, have some connection, enjoy some conversation, share some perspectives, shifts our minds, work on our mental health, promote kindness, whatever you want Coffee Club to be. Those are always my underlying goals. But what was kind of burning on my mind today that I wanted to connect with you about and have some conversation about, and hopefully you will join in to have that conversation, whether you're live with me now or you catch the Coffee Club later on, is I want you to be interactive in the comments today and have some convo with me. And we're going to talk about the word "and," which has recently become, I think, one of my most favorite words. It's the theory and concept and driving force behind a brand new podcast show that I've launched with my friend Fauna Buse called Cake and Eat It. And we talk a lot about and if you go over and like the Cake and Eat It podcast Facebook page, you will see we are going to share a lot of content about and getting rid of this either or attitude that we're all carrying around with us. And I was hit with that this morning a little bit I was doing the old Facebook scroll, starting the day, and I came across a post from a friend who was taking a moment to vent and just be concerned for the world because the numbers are so high with COVID, and kind of the census that I was getting from her post. And if she's watching and I'm totally off the mark, I apologize. But what I got from her post was that she was wondering why, if we know better, we're continuing to repeat history and not look out for the greater good. And her feeling that I got from this post, again, this is my interpretation of it, was that she felt people were more worried about their individual rights and freedoms than they were about the collective whole of community. And that was interesting, and it struck a chord, and there was some interesting conversation going on underneath her post, and people were sharing all different kinds of perspectives through that, which I appreciate. No one was getting angry or mean. It was just sharing of people's thoughts, and most people wanting to support a friend who was feeling frustrated and venting. But I think the real conversation in there was, so what do we do? And it got me thinking about because right now in our world, and we've talked about this, we are COVID fatigued. We are tired of hearing about it. We're tired of doing stuff. We're overwhelmed by the information. We're not even really processing it anymore. And I don't know about you, but I will admit right here and now, I stopped even looking. I don't listen to updates from the government. I don't watch television. I scroll past all of the things. I feel done, but it's not done. So how do we stop the bus, slow the roll, take a moment and understand what could happen next? Now, sidebar opinion of mine is I would love to see in Alberta for sure. And I would anticipate this is probably happening in every province. But for those of you who join us from Coffee Club outside of Alberta, I would love to know your thoughts on this too. But I would love to see a new communications plan rolled out from the government. And maybe that's because it's my background and I see ways that, people could come in, but restructure that language. Put out some new graphics, grab our attention again, change the platform, change the conversation, grab onto people again and be like, but the biggest thing, I think the thing I wanted to share today, and again, please weigh in on how you're feeling on this, is we can have rights and freedoms. We can have our individual rights. We can have our freedoms. We can have all of those things, and we can protect our community. And we can care about those around us, and we can protect each other, and we can think about our most vulnerable people in the community and figure out how we're going to also keep them safe. We can have our personal rights and freedoms. We can have all of our own shit, and we can help community. It's shifting that. And what I think is happening right now, again, solely opinion based, is that people are thinking they have to choose either their freedom or what happens next. Either or. Done. You don't. We can have both. Do you agree with me on that? And I think the thing too is what we're forgetting in these numbers climbing, and it's kind of crazy, and we're seeing numbers we haven't seen before, and we knew this was going to happen. And we're sitting in this place where we're afraid we're going to lose our rights and freedoms. We don't know what to do next, or we feel like we don't, and we swirl around. Friends, I'm here to tell you, we do know what to do. We've already been through this once. Yeah, it's looking a little different. Yeah, my opinions maybe changed. Yeah, my outlook like this, whatever you're saying to yourself, but we know what to do. And now we know what to do and to support others in the same time. We can have a more isolated state and stay connected with our cohort. We can choose to hibernate, is what I'm calling it, in the winter and still support our local businesses. We don't have to pick either or anymore. That has gone by the wayside. And it's hard. I get it. I'm not saying any of this is easy by any means. But don't you think? If we go back to some of the things that we did when we were first in, I don't know, people call it quarantine, people call it lockdown, people call it isolation, whatever you want to call it, don't even care. Switch back to some of those mentalities just for the next couple months. For November and December, go to the grocery store once a week again. Was that so bad when we did that before? No. We still had access to great food. We still got out of the house. We still, right? All of those things. You can go to the grocery store once a week and still feed your family and take care of what needs to happen at home. You can make lists of like things you want to do for shop. Like we're going into a season where shopping is sort of top of mind in preparing for Christmas. Now that can, I guess, also have a mixed bag of emotions depending on where you are with employment and money and how you're feeling about your job. And I get all of those stressors, but we can shop for Christmas in a safe way and still support local business. Limit your outings for the next couple of months in this shopping season. Be like, I'm going to go to this store this week, this store next week, the following store the next week, and you can still go visit those stores. If you want to stay more isolated and choose a route of hibernation that is a little bit more than someone else, and you choose that, I 100% bet you that if you contacted that local business and was like, these are the things I'm looking for, can you help me get them? Can I order them online? Can I give you credit card over the phone? Whatever that looks like. Businesses are going to work with you and they're going to pivot with you to help you get your shopping needs taken care of over the next several weeks. What we don't want to happen is for all of our businesses to close. Okay? So it's not either or. You can't only do this. You don't have to switch to shop online with businesses that aren't in your community, supporting your community. You can still shop local. It's and, friends, it's and. And you're so quiet today and you're not giving me the gears in the comments or agreeing or disagreeing. So give me your thoughts. Share, what do you think? But we know what to do. We know how to stay in a smaller group. We've done that. So for the next couple of months, why can't we choose that? It's not taking away our rights and freedom. It's we gotta lower the numbers. We gotta flatten the curve. We're never gonna be at a zero. I believe the Premier of Alberta said that the other day. But how do we not be flippant about it in the process? And it's just, again, you can have your rights and freedoms, and you can do this. Now there are situations, depending on where you live, where there are different masking bylaws, and maybe you're feeling like the mask is the symbol of taking away that freedom for you. And that's okay. You're welcome to that opinion. But you could still go out. You could go by exemption. You could put it on for 5 minutes. You could ask a friend to grab you what you need out in the thing. You can still be outside without it. Like there's options there. And I get we don't want to be sleeping, I don't know what the phrases are here, sleeping dogs or sheep or whatever people might think that looks like. But I want you to start shifting of when you think of something that's you feel like is taken away, is it? Is it? And maybe it is. Like again, I don't have all the answers. I don't know all the things. And I have not been following the news whatsoever. I think there's a real slant to that. I understand how media works, but what's your and? Instead of thinking you have either or with whatever situation you're faced with, and this could be outside of COVID, in my opinion, is in life in general. If you're faced with is this an either or, could it be an and? Does that make sense? Do I have any of that on a Saturday morning? I'm going to take a moment and drink this hot chocolate because I'm out of coffee. I got to go buy some coffee today. But what do you think? And could you, for the sake of ourselves and the sake of our community, could you take a slight step back for the next couple of months? Could you? Because it's each one of us who has a responsibility or a role to play, right? Like community has a role to play. Communities are made up of individuals. If individuals together make community. So we have a choice to make. We have a choice to make, my friends. And we could choose for the next few weeks, like just put to the end of December in your mind, right? It's like any goal, any place we're headed, anything thing is we just got to break it down to the little things. And I was reading a really cool passage this morning about when you feel like you're lost or you feel like you're not sure where you're supposed to go next, remind yourself that you are loved. Remind yourself that you are being led, and we have to trust. And so when it feels really overwhelming, we just have to take the little pieces of the things that are right in front of us. Right in front of you. Little things that could be right in front of you right now to help community is going to the grocery store once a week again. That's an easy one, guys. That's not hard. That is not hard. If you find you've got a family that is eating a lot more, with back to school, I get it. Families with kids, they're eating a lot more. And you feel like you need more than that. If you can't do once a week, could you do once a week in person, the second time have it delivered? I think you could. There's volunteers who are doing that. If you feel like you need to get out and you've got to be involved and you need to do something else, could you volunteer to be that grocery delivery person? Yeah, you could. Let's see what you're saying. Paula says, I agree. What you are addressing is the need for personal responsibility and the tendency towards duality. Humans lean towards polarization, the either or. We do. And we don't, what I'm trying to say is, and I get old habits are hard to break. Trust me, I am trying to beat all kinds of ones all the time, but we can do this. I know we can. Thank you, Joan. She's agreeing with what it's saying. So just think about that for a moment. If we started to choose some ands for the next few weeks till the end of December, till after Christmas, if we just slowed the roll again, just a little bit, we don't have to go into complete quarantine unless, of course, you're sick and you have to. We don't have to shut everything down. We don't have to feel stripped of everything that we feel we have freedoms for. Because remember, we're coming into Remembrance Day next week and an opportunity to really reflect on all of those people who have put their life on the line for us to give us those freedoms. How would you think they would want us to choose those right now? And maybe that's too hard to wrap our brains around, but I don't think that people have gone to fight for freedom so that we don't have that choice, so that we can't, as individuals, make a choice. People need to calm down. I don't know if Seattle Frank's telling me to calm down or if he's just saying in general, we all need to calm down, but we do. I agree with that, Frank. I like to say CTFD because it makes me giggle and it's become sort of a saying. So that's calm the fuck down for those of you who don't know. And we need to have some CTFD moments because we're going to get through this. And I think that we're tired of hearing we're all going to get through this together. It's been one of those phrases that has been overused through this campaign, definitely in Alberta. Don't know about where you're watching from because I know we have virtual coffee club members from all over the world. But you have to do some choosing and you have to go from either or to and to make this work. I really think that. I really, really do. And think about that world that we're going to create with the opportunity of that mind shift. You can have rights and freedoms, and you can help your community. You don't have to pick one or the other. We can do both. And we can make choices as individuals and as families over the next few weeks that helps everybody out. And you can choose yourself and you can put yourself first, because we are learning that in our kindness revolution about being kind to ourselves, but do it in a kind way. And I want people to think about their mental health. If you look back to the last 8 months, what we went through, and the moments where you felt your lowest low, what was happening? What was the reason? Why were you feeling that way? Were you really, really alone? Had you been alone for too long? Had that been something that you hadn't felt before? Okay, so let's learn from that. If you know then in this next one, okay, I'm going to go out less. I'm only going to see my cohort this. Or we used to be able to have a cohort of 50. Now we're down to smaller groups. So then maybe it's just shrinking your cohort for the next few weeks. You can do that. That's easy. Doesn't cost anything. No, like it's doable. You just have to choose it. So in this time of, if people, if you're one of the people who is really rallying for, I need my rights and freedoms, you still have them. What are the choices that you're going to make with that? And in the areas where, the other thing that sort of pops into brain is some of that language has been to report your neighbors and tell on people who aren't following the rules. And we become this really strange society of rule followers versus non-rule followers. Because you can follow the rules and still live a great life. You can follow some of the rules and still protect your community. Are you seeing where I'm going with this? Am I hitting the mark at all? Because I saw a really great post in that, once things start to switch back to whatever our world is going to evolve into next. And that's the cool thing, is people like, I want to get back to normal. Well, what does that mean? What does that mean? What does that look like? It's never going to be as it was. That's what change means, is you change into something else. So what I think is unique here is we have the opportunity to shift what that can be. And you can, and your neighbors are going to be the ones who are still going to be there beside you in your community, keeping an eye on your house when we get to go on vacations again, checking on your kids for you. Like, don't punch your neighbor out in the process of being in fear of something else, of rules versus non-rules. And not either or, and. Hi, Jim. Welcome. Seattle Frank. I get that. I get the fear in that. And I had a really good conversation around the conversation on camps the other day. And in a background of disaster recovery planning, okay? You can have your opinion of this. Here's mine. And I enjoyed this conversation that we had the other day because it was really enlightening to me, is that when you're planning for every single level of a possible disaster, you have to plan for the one that is the most outrageous to the one that isn't, because you're planning for something. So, Seattle Frank, if our world got to this place where we had so many people who were sick that we could not help them in our current hospital infrastructure, how do you expect to help them without a place built for that? Now, I can't tell you that if that's right or wrong. I am not in the position. I do not have the education. I do not have the authority to say what the best plan is in this place. What I do appreciate, if I can find a positive in something, and if you know me, you know I'm going to, is that I appreciate that every aspect is being planned for instead of not. Are we going to use them? I doubt it. I really do. Like, I honestly do, but I don't know one way or the other. But is freaking out about it gonna, like, come on. Don't conspiracy theory everything. I don't know what it means. What I do know from a completely disaster recovery planning background is you got to plan for all the pieces. Through the spring, for example, and we're going over our 20 minutes, so I won't rant too long, but going back to, I'm on the emergency social services team in my community. when we were going through the process of whether you want to call it lockdown or quarantine or whatever it is in the spring, we were also planning because it was flood season in our community. So we were planning for what we would have to do if we were evacuating our entire community, having to keep people quarantined, have to keep people safe. We were being fitted as frontline workers with N95 masks and every other piece of equipment to keep those people safe. If we put out all of that information, you would think we were planning for some sort of crazy, outrageous, oh my gosh, the world is coming to an end event happening in our small town. The reason we were planning it was if it happened, we had a plan, we were prepared, and we would have the infrastructure in place to deal with that. Doesn't mean the government was secretly planning in our community to put us all into whatever we were planning to go to. That's not what it was. So if you mind shift it for a second, it's about creating a plan. Now I can see on the other side how terrifying that is, because I had that moment too. I will admit. I'm actually enjoying this reset in our world. You know what, Paula? There's chunks of this that I am really enjoying too. I really am. You know, there's pieces of it that also sucks, but isn't that everything? And I appreciate you and your time today and you having coffee with me and having conversation with me. And again, with the camps thing, I don't know all of the details. I just have one frame of reference that I put out there and was like, well, that would also make sense. I've been in that planning situation before. And it's, you know, was our government in a place where they were planning for a world pandemic? I don't know what that looks like. I just know in the doing, in the real life, in the what's happening, what's right in front of me today. What choice can I make as an individual to acknowledge my rights and freedoms and help my community? What can I do as an individual and a person to keep my family safe and still enjoy my life? What happens as us as individuals and community members to work together and stay connected? That's my thought of the day. I've gone way over our 20 minutes. I apologize for that. Tomorrow, we're going to have a little kindness of ourselves conversation, I think. I had sort of an idea. So I hope you will come back at 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time tomorrow morning and play a little bit of Who Are You with me. And then that makes me think of that song. Who is that? The Who? Who Are You from The Who? That song goes through my head, but as I talked from the top of the video, for some reason, I have Islands in the Stream from Kenny and Dolly running through my head today. Pick a song. Have a great day. I hope your Saturday is fantastic. I hope you will shift some of your either or thinking to a little bit of and today and make it a good one. Please know you are important. Even if our opinion's completely different, I think you're amazing. You're an integral piece of our world, and I'm so glad you're here. Have a fabulous rest of your Saturday, and I will see you here tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Goodbye.